Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Lucas, and today I'm going to be doing a full tutorial on MagicPath, basically showing you all of the different features, and it's going to consist of 10 different steps to basically get you from being a beginner to being an expert in MagicPath. Now, before we get started with today's video, I'd love to invite you guys to my Discord community. We are a bunch of different startup founders, designers, developers from all around the world, and we get together every single week to talk about different tools, different topics, different challenges. So if you guys are interested in joining one of these calls, link is down in the description below. So when you go to magicpath.ai, you start off with this empty file page. And this is basically like the main interface. But what I want to show you before we go into this is if we go back here to back to files, we have this homepage tab, which basically shows you like the latest features and, for example, like the Contra Challenge winners that we had, or the fast links to specific files that can help you get started. We have this My Files page, which basically shows you all of your files that you've been working on, from projects to libraries. You have projects that people have shared with you. You even have a community tab over here. And the community tab is really cool because you can explore, like, for example, the most viewed MagicPath files in the community. And all of these files are basically open source. And you can just, like, for example, click on this and you can just copy this library. This is a specific library. You can copy it to your own account. And something else is also the documentation. So we have, getting started, basically everything in this video in text format. So it might be actually a really good thing to kind of view this before you get started, because it shows you some good do's and don'ts. So you can really get the most out of your credits, right? So you have getting started, you have core features, you have design and styling, collaboration, advanced features, help and support. But going back to the homepage, and you can click on new file over here or up here, it doesn't really matter. It basically opens a new file for you, right? So over here, this is our main interface. And right now it gets, we have this one prompt box over here, and you can start off with a design over here. But what I like to do is I like to just double click, because when I double click, I get this one canvas that opens, one component that opens in the infinite canvas. And then you're going to see this chat box open on the right side. And now something very important, if we start off from the left to right, we have up here components and we have libraries. So there's a difference between components and libraries. Components are basically things that you can, design and then export, and you can build your own product based off of that one component. And libraries, on the other hand, are things that you can basically use throughout your different files. So for example, we just copied that library in the beginning of the video, and it consists of different components. So for example, I can bring in this component, drag and drop it in here, and I have this one component in here on the side. And I can do the same thing with this. I can just drop this in here, and boom, we have this other component. So this is a library. It's basically like a component library for your project. And up here on the left, we have something called themes. And I'm going to show you how, important this is when designing something in MagicPath, because themes are basically custom themes that you can make inside of MagicPath. So for example, this is the default theme, but you have all of these. You can start off with one of these. These are like the public themes that MagicPath gives you. But then, you can create as many themes as you want. So I have all of these different themes. So for example, IBM Carbon looks more like this, right? You can see it has like very sharp edges, a specific font type, specific types of spacing. We have also, like, for example, the Discord one that I can switch to dark mode, and it looks just like in Discord, right? With the same colors and same fonts. You can also import your own themes, which is very powerful. So for example, if you're in tweakcn.com and you brainstorming on different themes that you want to use, like let's say, for example, we like maybe this one, right? Vintage paper. You can get the code, copy the code like this, and then go into import. Let's just go to the none and click on import, paste, apply. And as you can see, it applies that same style. So very, very simple, very easy to use. And this is basically what I do when creating new themes. So I'm going to go ahead and click on save and call this one paper. Click on save theme. And so let's start off with creating something. Let's actually create a sign-in card. Let's use one of these things. So if I go ahead and do this, I'm not going to choose a specific theme, which is something that I highly Wouldn't recommend because it's mostly for people that are just kind of trying to experiment. But if you want like a specific design style in mind, I would apply a theme, and I'm going to show you the difference right now. So we can go like this, and then at the same time, I'm going to go over here, double click, and I'm going to write the same prompt and choose now this paper theme, right? And now I'll go ahead and click on submit. And as you can see, these are the two results, the one on the left being without the theme, the one on the right with the theme, with the paper theme that we just created. And very big difference, right? On the left, it creates the whole component based on what we asked it, right? We also asked it for these two buttons. But in terms of color and in terms of font and in terms of styling, it doesn't really know what to do. It's just guessing, and it gives us this, basic design, obviously looking very nice, but still pretty basic in terms of styling. And over here on the right, we have a much more sophisticated design with the specific font, with the colors, with the whole style applied to it, like a nice paper style. So again, very, very important that whenever you're generating prompts, if you have a specific design style that you want to head towards, best to create your own custom theme and generate the components with this theme applied to it. Now, what's something also really cool about MagicPath is that you don't only have to double click to start a new component, right? Like for example, this is just me double clicking, creating an empty component. I can just go ahead and go into any website I want, let's say Spotify, for example, and we can just select any element. So for example, let's say that we want to maybe select or create, for example, this card. We can copy this component, bring it into MagicPath, and just paste it in like this, right? And as you can see, I'm pasting it in with this theme applied to it. So another interesting thing to kind of keep in mind is that you can paste things in with the theme applied to the actual element that you just copied from that website. I can also, for example, select another one like this, select this entire one, and let's go ahead and copy component, go back into MagicPath, and boom, we actually even get our first one. So it has the fonts, it has like the color and coloring and everything. It has like this dark color, but it kind of matches the brown. And I'm going to show you in a sec how we can edit that if we wanted to, but let's just paste in this component. And what I can do here, and this is the kind of like the next step, is you can select this and you can start editing the component, right? Let's say that we want to change the color of this background. We can make it like, get this little tool over here and select this brown color if we wanted to. Now we have this brown color as the background for the specific card. And as you can see, it also created this component with our little songs that we can choose, and it creates basically like Spotify in this paper style, which is insane. Now the next thing that we can do is sketching, right? Because not only can you create a component from scratch, like via text or via the Chrome extension, but you can also sketch out components. Let's say that we have the shape tool, and what I want to do is I want to create like a form. So I can just go ahead, click on R. So this is going to be like the first name, this is going to be the last name. We can select both of these and kind of increase this spacing to be like this. We can put this down here. Then I can click on T to add a text. We can say form title, right? And then we can go ahead and adjust the title like that. Then we can again duplicate these two and put them underneath like so. And then we can just put one like that. And then we can just duplicate one and make this a little bit larger. Again, we can increase the size of this form block. And then we just have maybe like one more space over here for like longer content. And then at the end, we can just add like a button over here that says like, submit the form, right? And just to make things easier, what we can do is we can duplicate the different text blocks, make them a bit smaller, and we can just write down like what each input represents so that the AI kind of understands what it's going to be doing. So for example, this is going to be like first name and the other one's going to be last name. So for example, we have the form title, first name, last name, phone number, email. We have a drop down, which we can even use, like we can have this draw tool to kind of indicate a little arrow. So I can, for example, draw a little arrow like that. Boom, looks like a nice little arrow. So drop down, no, we're going to give the context to the AI later, but this is a drop down. We have additional comments, and then we have the submit and the close button. And if I click on A, we can also draw like an arrow. So for example, we can do like an arrow like this and move this like so, maybe even curve the arrow if we wanted to. And then I can just get a text, duplicate this text, and I can say something like, you know, subtle fade in animation. And then once we're done with this, right, we can go ahead and we can select all of this and click on make it real. And under make it real, we get this screenshot confirmation, and we can say turn this wireframe into, we can say like a feedback form for a music player app. So let's go ahead and click on submit. All right, and we get our form. And as you can see, pretty much the same exact layout. So we have the title, we have the first name, last name, phone, email, feedback type. So if I click on this, for example, we have different types of feedback types that we can select, additional comments, submit feedback, close. And so for example, if we wanted our feedback to not look like this, but we maybe just wanted 3 options, we can go ahead and ask MagicPath to do that, or we can even draw out how this would look like. So let's say that we wanted our options to kind of look like this with an icon maybe, and with a text underneath. So option, right? We can make this a little bit larger, for example, like this, option, and then we can just duplicate this and be like icon, and then we can just get this and duplicate it 2 times, or let's do like maybe 4 times. So we have 4 options, and we can then decrease the size of this container. We can then select this, then take a screenshot of this and use an image reference. So we could say like, get this, use my image that I just took. So for example, this one, we can say, you know, replace the drop-down option layout to look more like the design in the image reference. So let's go ahead and submit that. All right, and now we have our form. So if I click on this, we get the same design that we want, but we just have to say, you know, limit it to 4 options. And now that we do that, we can go ahead and see that we have our exact design that we wanted. So that's looking fantastic. Now, if you click on one of these designs, you're gonna see that we have like these options up here. And this is kind of like the next step of what I wanna show you. So for example, we have this form, and we have this first options that's called create flow. So let's go ahead and click on that, and let's add one of these. Let's click on one of these plus buttons. And what this flow does is that it gets the context of this specific component, right? It gets the styling, it gets all the prompts that you've given it in the past, and then it creates a new component based on that. But so basically, let's say that you have this form and you like it, and you want to create like an onboarding flow based off of the design of this form. So we can go ahead and say create an onboarding flow, right? Go ahead and click on submit, and as it generates, you can see music player feedback flow. So you don't have to tell it again that it's for a music player app, or that it has a specific theme, or it understands it automatically and basically generates another component based off of the context of this one. And as you can see, it basically gets the same style, right? And applies it to this now onboarding style. And it even got this style from the sketch that we just gave it from before. So we, for example, can click on next. We have the next step. So for example, I can just make this a little bit larger for y'all to see. And we can go ahead and let's say that we like rock, we like hip hop, we like electronic music, we like R&B, and when you listen, always, right, and all these things. We could just click on random stuff, and then you can just put some random information, and then at the end, basically you have like this onboarding flow, right? Now let's say that you like this, but you want to see different types of variants of how this could look like. Well, what you can do is you can create variants, right? So over here you have this create variants, and you can create 1 to 5 different variants. And again, whenever you're creating variants, please keep in mind that each variant takes away credits. So in this case, we're just going to be doing 3, and you can click on feeding lucky, and that means that it's just going to randomize the results. Or you can ask it specific things, like it says over here, try different layouts or design goals. We can say, please make the onboarding flow only, let's say 2 steps, and as minimalistic as possible. So let's go ahead and click on submit. And then we get 3 different variants. So I can start off with this one. So as you can see, 2 different steps, very, very easy to use, right? Going back over here, this one's a little bit more. This one's, as you can see, is much smaller. I can click on next, and then we just have this like very small little box. And this one is even smaller. So we can just click on rock, or we can just click on only one, then click on next, and then just choose a very specific username, and that's it. So these are like just little examples of what you can do. And so for example, we can also go to Mobbin and find some type of app. Let's say that we like something like this, right? And we can choose this one as a type of image reference. And then we can move these to the side. And we can even create variants based off of an image. So I can go like this, create variants, choose the image. So I can say, create a mobile variant with the design based on the image reference. So we can go ahead and click on submit for that. All right, and now we basically get this mobile view of the onboarding flow. So you can just click on next, and as you can see, it kind of has like the same type of styling as the image reference that I gave it. Styling in terms of layouts, but it just keeps the style of this one specific component because that's the job of the variants, right? All right, and now you must be wondering, like, we have all of these different components. There's, they're all separate. How can we combine them all, right? So that's the cool thing about MagicPath is that you can just double click, and let's say that this is going to be like your final component, right? So let's just call this final like this, and we can start building. Let's say that we want to build a landing page for our product, right? Where we want to have this whenever we click on login. We want to have this maybe in the home page. We want to have this whenever we click on something as well. So we can start off sketching our different sections. So for example, this is going to be the hero section. We want maybe like, a section over here that's going to be an image. And we want something over here to be the title text. Then we want this to be like the paragraph text over here. And then we want to have like this button over here, right? And this button is going to basically open this, for example. And then we're going to want to put this below this, for example, like a nice little, carousel of the albums. And we can even duplicate this a few times underneath. And then somewhere at the end, we have this like, maybe not the feedback, but like the actual onboarding flow or something like that. Maybe this one if we like it. So how do we do that? Let's first start off with this hero section. So what I want to do is I just want to add some text just to kind of reference everything. So this is going to be image. And then what we can do, we can just duplicate this. This is going to be title text. This is going to be the paragraph text. Let's say 2 to 3 sentences. And then down here is going to be the button, sign up button, right? Sign up button. And I can just make this a little bit larger. And I'm going to delete these little shapes over here. And I'm just going to resize these things, maybe make this a little bit larger. Perfect. So we have this. This is going to be our hero section. So I'm going to say make it real, turn this wireframe into a hero section for a landing page for a music playing app. So we have our little hero section, and what I can do is I can replace this image on the right side with, let's say, something else. Let's say that we can replace it with, let's say, our music player feedback flow child, right? So over here, I can just say replace the entire graphic on the right with, and then I'm going to just put the @ symbol, and it's called music player flow child. So let's go ahead and do that. Click on submit, and boom, as you can see, it basically gets this file or this component, and you can replace it with anything. In this case, I replaced it with this share your feedback component. And now you can even do this with specific flows. So if I click on sign up, then this sign in card should show. So let's go ahead and say, if the user clicks on the sign up button, then the @sign in card, and I believe we have 2 sign in cards. So let's just call this sign in 2, right? And go back here and @sign in 2. If the user clicks on the sign up button, then the sign in 2 card should show up as a pop-up, right? So we can go ahead and do that. And so now if I zoom in, right, and I click on sign up, we get that sign in card as a pop-up. So perfect, that's exactly what we want. And now what we want to do is we just want to add this album carousel beneath it. So let's say add the @album carousel below the heroes section, right? Click on enter. And this is basically the method of how to continue working in MagicPath. And so now if I scroll down, you can see that we have our nice little carousel of music albums beneath the hero section. And now let's say that you continue building out different components, you build out an entire website, an entire landing page. What you can do is under the code, you can just click on code, and you can either download the code base, or you can click on open in Cursor, which is a direct integration to Cursor. We can do that. and we just copy this command. And in our terminal, we can just paste in this command and we can choose where it should go. I'm going to choose my downloads and I'm going to call this music landing page. And then we can go ahead and select cursor. And then we have all of our files here inside of cursor. And I can just put like yarn dev to run our project locally and just click on this link and boom, it loads in the local host like this. And we have all of our different components that we asked for. And the buttons work, everything works just as we wanted it. And when you download the code base of the project, so for example, I basically use a Chrome extension to get this Granola AI website working inside of MagicPath, and we got something like this. What I did is I just went to the code, downloaded the code base, and brought it into V0, and it actually worked perfectly. I actually have a video on that down in the description below if you want to watch it. And basically everything works. Even the drop downs and the nav bar work. You can scroll down, you can see the different sections. We have these nice effects in the nav bar. If you can zoom in, see like this nice blur effect in the background. You can scroll down, you see all of these different sections. So not only can you open it in cursor, but you can also open it in V0, Replit, Lovable, etc. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That is MagicPath in a nutshell. If you have any more comments or questions, please let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, excited to see what you guys are building. MagicPath has a very active Discord. I'm actually the one that's organizing everything. So if you want to talk to me there, we do like daily live streams. So you can join the Discord. I have the link to the Discord down in the description below as well. And you can come join me. We build some cool stuff together every single day. So yeah, hope to see you there as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And like always, have a wonderful day. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.